Well, it's disappointing to be talking to you at the moment. Just tell us from your point of view what happened out there.
I was tricky conditions. I was doing the best I could to keep the car on track. I think I had pretty good pace, and whilst I fell back behind Jensen, he made a mistake out of the last corner into the last corner, so I got the run on him, and I was on the the outside, but I think I was half. I haven't seen the footage, but I felt like I was halfway up the outside of him, and he just kept moving across, whether or not he saw me or not, and I was in the wall. So, and then it was only the tyre that was busted, so I put the diff locked, and I was going to drive it back to the garage, and the team told me to retire, and because I thought the suspension was gone, that's what they said, but it turns out it wasn't. So.
Jensen did say on his team radio, what is he doing? But just to explain how difficult conditions and visibility are out there.
I had pretty good grip, and us now, but it was visibility wasn't.
Bit late for that, I think. It's putting the waterproof on as you see Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel sharing their experiences.
And Lee Mackenzie did find Mark Webber a little earlier on.
Well, I found Mark Webber. This is nice. How bad were conditions before it's got even worse?
Yeah, tough, because I think well, visibility is one thing, and then the next thing obviously is the aquaplaning. Obviously on the it's a very marbly sort of finish here, so the water doesn't have, it's a track where you don't feel like you have the water has too many options to go places, so it stays on the track. And I think from the hairpin and a few other places, yeah, I mean, even behind the safety car was, I mean, you could see basically not much at all. So
it doesn't seem to be easing. How long can they leave it till they make a decision whether this is going to continue or not?
I think quite a while. I think they've got nothing to lose by wait, a few hours. Why not? There's no rush. Obviously, not great maybe for TV, but for a sport, for us, in terms of a sporting event, we can wait here, and obviously it's never ideal to have this on an important day of the race weekend. But I think we can wait a while. Let's try and get the race still done. Huh?
Right. Thanks, Mark.
Well, Martin, David, I'm thinking that was a sterling bit of filling. Congratulations. We call that a big fill, as in a big Phil Scolari. You had to fill for a long time there. Well, this is the driest car in Formula One at the moment. Sadly, it's a car that won't be going out. It's Lewis Hamilton's McLaren, which isn't fit to carry on racing here, which is a great shame for him, particularly with Sebastian Vettel leading. And yes, you did see Eddie doing a bit of networking, apparently after we won the BAFTA. He's now after an Oscar, but I can't see that happening. We're here with George Lucas. So, George, these things resemble spaceships in some ways, but they're not very fast when the rain's coming down, are they?
No, well, I mean, they do go in the rain. It's just that you see what it was out there was a torrent. There was like coming down in buckets. Nothing could fly on that.
No, very frustrating. Now, people have tried on many occasions to make a proper movie about Formula One that really brings to life the cut and thrust of racing. Would you fancy getting involved in that kind of thing? What do you think?
Generally speaking, films about sports don't work. People like to see the real thing.
George, what road would we give him? Because he's far too tall to be a racing driver. What would we do with him?
Well, he's as tall as Webber.
Maybe you and I we could try and see, we'd audition to be Bernie. What do you think? Do you fancy being Bernie?
I think you can have that role.
No, Dave, look at you. No, you look like Bernie to me.
No, but I have a beard.
You're the only one here who nearly has as much money, I should think.
I have a beard.
Well, listen, that would be a very difficult role to play. We're looking outside. We're thinking that it's not raining very heavily. Would you like to see these cars getting underway again and racing once more?
Yeah, I'd like to see them complete the race. I mean, it doesn't look like it's raining that hard now, and I have a feeling that's going to start again.
Okay, that would be lovely. Well, George, thank you very much for your time. I enjoy hanging out with Rihanna and all the other people that are knocking around. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Okay.
Thanks a lot, George. Thank you very much. Well, George can hang out with us if he wishes to, but to be honest, there's not an awful lot to show you. If we turn around, we can just give you a little glimpse of what's happening out here, and you can see the loyal fans who've stuck around in the grandstand up there. Congratulations to them. They've done very well to stay here with this sort of weather. Eddie, this needs to get going again now, doesn't it? David and Martin made the point that the one thing that will clear the water better than anything else right now is a bunch of Formula One cars racing around out there.
Well, they're absolutely right. They're the experts, they know. And in fact, look, as far as I believe, we should do that, but we'd need to do the start under the safety car, unlike what I believe what should have happened at the start of the race. I think we were robbed a little bit of that excitement. Nevertheless, let's put that to one side. What needs to happen here urgently is a decision. And the decision has to be, let's get on with this race.
OK, well, Martin Whitmarsh is a man who helps to make these decisions. Just to let you know, if you're waiting around for the Antiques Roadshow, we're going to stay with this because we think that with the skies clearing and it getting a little bit brighter, we could have some racing very soon. But Martin Whitmarsh from McLaren...
He should be on the Antiques Roadshow, actually, doesn't he?
I am already too old for the Antique Roadshow. Where have you been?
I'm not sure if that's the age or the mahogany colour. But either way, are we expecting racing to get going? And if so, when? Because it is brightening up.
Yeah, no, we're expecting it to get going again. I think we'll start under the safety car. They've got to pump some water off the circuit, but I hope in the next few minutes we'll get some news of when we're going to restart this race. Been fairly eventful for us so far. A little bit disappointing on a few factors, but I think we can still score some good points.
Your view, Martin, I've got to ask you, your honest view on the Hamilton-Button situation.
Well, I think my honest view is Jensen didn't know he was there. And Lewis was trying to make good progress. I think the fact, fortunately, they both see it the same way. You know, I think everyone knows that Jensen wouldn't be doing that and wouldn't have squeezed him into the wall deliberately. So there's no issue between either driver. They've spoken about it. They're pretty relaxed. Obviously, Jensen, you know, has got to focus on the rest of the race. Lewis disappointed not to be in the race. I don't think we had a choice. He would have been, if we could have got the car back, it was damaged. He would have been a lap down, and I think it was the right decision that we took as well.
We've seen so many times your particular cars, because you've got two world champions there. We've seen the wheel-to-wheel battle. Yeah. I mean, is there anything you can do from the pit wall to say, hey guys, you're right on top of each other, or do you just keep stum and you let them get on with it?
Well, I think I trust these guys. You know, despite what happened this afternoon, they've got to get in and race, and I think that's what people expect. We've seen them. You know, many exciting incidents within millimetre of each other. I think that's how we run our team. Occasionally you get this, but I think for us to then say to one driver, wait behind the other in those circumstances, is not what we're about. It's not how we want to go motor racing, and you just have to face the consequences. Inevitably, people will take a view, say, what the hell are you thinking about? But I think we've taken a decision about how we run our race team. I think it's the right one. I think Lewis and Jensen respect that. That's why they're in our team, and that's why they want to carry on racing each other.
We applauded Lewis Hamilton's passion and his desire to race both on the track and off the track, actually, even with the things he was saying after the Monaco Grand Prix. It was good to see that passion in him. But by the time he retired from this race, you might not have agreed, but we enjoyed it. By the time he retired from this race, he'd had a coming together with three guys, including his own teammates. He had 3 investigations hanging over his head. Does someone maybe need to just put their arm around Lewis and say, look, at the moment, this might not be the car that you want it to be, but just drive within yourself slightly, bring the car home, get some race finishes under your belt?
I think it's a tough one. I mean, I think Lewis is an extraordinary driver, and there's how many of those does he pull off and we think look fantastic? You know, I think he's got to go out there. He tries to race, he tries to overtake. You know, the incident with Mark, again, that was investigated. He was already cleared of that one, and I think he's got to go and speak to the stewards about this incident. I think given that both drivers saw it the same way, I think that I'm sure the stewards will also understand that. But Lewis is always going to be a passionate racing driver. He's always going to go for it. I think that's what the world expect from him, and I think it's wrong for us to try and detune that passion.
Martin, just a strange view on this, and that is, we've seen how frustrated he's been, not just this race, Monaco and beyond. Could you see him taking a year out?
No, I can't. I mean, I've known Lewis since he was 11, and he lives for motor racing, and he won't be taking a year out.
Could he change teams?
Sorry?
Could he change teams?
Well, of course he can change teams. I don't think he's going to change teams. I think he loves his team. I think he knows the support that he's got in this team. We've got to make sure we're on top form and that he can win races in this team. That's our job, but that's what we're going to do. I think he will, I think he's got a long career ahead of him. He's not going to take any gaps. I hope they're in this team as well.
Thanks for that. We'd love to have a quick word with him, but I'm sure he's like a bear with a sore head. Do you think, as the team principal, you could persuade him to have a quick chat with the BBC? What are the odds, do you think?
I'll have a look.
Thanks, Martin. Much appreciated. And I think Martin's right there. What you don't want to do, because if you ask Lewis to change his style or change his approach, you could just dilute a young man who is a fantastic
But you can
racing
never,
driver.
ever, if you quench the fire that's burning inside him, you lose half of the magic. This guy is electric. I love watching him. There's a couple of drivers. We're very blessed at the moment. We have a couple of really good drivers.
Sorry, it's too busy for you, Eddie.
Is he too busy for Jake? I want to know.
I thought that might be the answer. Are we stopping you from getting any urgent information on your headset that it would be good for us to hear?
Go and try and do a job. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, if you get any information, we'd love to share it with you, because we've got a few million friends at home who are keen to get the racing underway. We know that there are guys out on the circuit. You've probably seen a maroon Mercedes driving around quite a bit. Well, that car has been going out, just putting in some reconnaissance laps, taking a look at the state of the circuit. Because as we've made the point before already, and again, it's raining, but only raining very lightly. It's a visibility situation as much as a situation on grip, and we can see the stewards walking the track. What will they be looking for?
Well, standing water. That is the worst thing you can possibly get on a racetrack. And please remember, this is not a fully made racetrack. There's also parts that is used on a daily basis or a road situation. So it's a mixture. And where you have standing water, the worst thing is that spray causes, it's like going into in fog, thick fog. And whether we like it or not, whether it's raining, it's how the danger element. And they have a responsibility. When I mean they, I'm talking about the FIA, the stewards of the meetings, Charlie Whiting and these people, have a responsibility for the health and the welfare of the drivers. And we must applaud that and we must respect that. But we all want to go racing, but we want to do so in reasonably safe circumstances.
Okay, well, there's a big opportunity for a few people here to do something special. Among them, Nick Heidfeld, Kamui Kobayashi, who's sitting second. Nick is sitting fourth at the moment. Who will be perhaps lobbying for this race to get going, and who will be thinking, actually, this will suit me. It might only be half points, but second on the grid. Kamui Kobayashi, I
did see
love
Peter.
that.
Peter Sauber came and asked me what did I think, and I said, Peter, you're the man in control here. Peter Sauber is probably in a situation where, you know, it's some years now, 2009, since Kubica scored a podium for that team, and honestly this would be a really good result for them if they could just hang on to this second place onto the podium. We all like the way he drives, Kobayashi, and this would be a big result for Sauber.
Okay, well, you could see a thumbs up there for a moment. We're not sure what the thumbs up was from that Ferrari mechanic, but if you just come back to us live, actually, down here by McLaren, we'll grab Martin and see if there's an update.
The update is there's another very short shower, but it looks very low intensity. They've done a pretty good job of clearing the track. I think the race control is just going to wait for this little shower. Hopefully that passes through fairly innocuously, and then, in fact, you can see it over there. And then we'll hopefully restart the race. But I think we'll sort of see what happens with this little shower first.
Is there not an argument that the best way to clear this water is to get 23 racing cars flying around there?
There is that argument, but I think that if you saw how much water was out there originally, there was no way you could put the cars around. I mean, they feel that they've cleared it and it's been pumped clear, but I think it's just, you know, to restart and stop again would look chaotic. I think Charlie's right to wait just to see if that shower is as light and as short as we think it's going to be. If it is, then hopefully after that they continue clearing the circuit, we can get started again.
And are you lobbying for a restart?
We'd like a restart, yeah.
Of course he'd like a restart. He wants some points out of this, don't you?
Exactly.
Okay, Martin, thank you. It's actually worth you just having a look at what's going on in the pit lane, actually, because it may feel like a long time since our pre-show, but it must feel even longer for the guys at Ferrari who are still trying to clear their pit box at the moment. Now, there is a shot, Eddie. Vitantonio Liuzzi has decided the only way to deal with this is to stick some plastic bags on his feet and go for a wander. I suggest he probably just stays in. Does he realise he's on not just national television, but international television?
He's not doing his street cred any good in that gear. I mean, as a fashion icon, I think he gets a 0.
Right, you think Vitantonio Liuzzi's a fashion icon? That's good to know.
No, if he intended to be a fashion, it would be a big no.
No, okay. Well, just to let you know, if you're just tuning into us here, you are watching what we hope will eventually be the end of the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. That is the safety car. Bert Mailander is the driver there. You may have heard Martin Brundle saying to Bert before the race, listen, if they ask you to have a safety car start, just say no. Sadly, we did have a safety car start. More rain then came down, and eventually the race was red flagged. It's now been well over an hour since we saw some racing, and we can see the stewards have been making big decisions. They've decided to bring out the red flag, and we heard from Martin Whitmarsh there that at the moment we're waiting for one more shower, and then hopefully racing will ensue. We're on an island here, a man-made island. They dug the Montreal Metro a few years ago, and 15 million tonnes of rubble was dumped into the middle of the St. Lawrence River. That's what this is, and it's basically a bit of a nature reserve, really. It's cycle paths and walkways and things, so for most of the year, it's got nothing running around it at all, which means that this tarmac is actually very greasy, very slippery. I went for a run, or maybe a jog, Eddie, around the track a couple of nights ago, and I saw foxes, all kinds of animals. You know, this isn't a full-time racing circuit, and that does have an impact actually on...
It does have something else that runs around on a continual basis, and that's the roulette table, because we're absolutely smack in the middle of the casino land, and that's where most of the traffic comes from. Montreal to come to this island actually comes out to the casino.
Okay, well, talking of gambling, would you gamble and get this race on? Nick Heidfeld sitting fourth, perhaps he would like the points because he's been struggling a bit for Renault just recently.
You know, somebody like Nick, people at Renault, I think if they're actually in their heart of hearts and looking at the mirror, they'd say they'd prefer the race to just be stopped at this stage. That's not a negative approach. They just want to build on some blocks and get the blocks. Half the points would be enough for them, and it would be seen as a result. They're doing and put themselves in the right position by making some very good decisions, albeit lucky in some cases.
You'll be glad to know that that isn't actually the track, that is just the water surrounding the casino, the large gold building there. Eddie, let's just wander around to Red Bull if we can. I think we're not really meant to be in the pit lane, but I think this is an occasion where we can break a few rules if we wish to. We're going to see if we can get hold of Mark Webber. Now, it may have felt like a long time since we were on air before the race, even longer for these guys who've been clearing this water constantly from about 11 o'clock this morning, but I'm sure they're doing a decent job. And if you can, just follow me in here and we'll grab a few people. If we can see Mark Webber, that would be lovely. He's just at the back of the garage there.
I've just got Mark here. Will I get him?
Come and, I think don't go too far in, Eddie, otherwise your microphone will stop working.
Well, we've got to get our man, haven't we?
Well, he's on his way. He's keen to chat to us. Hi, Mark. So, give us your thoughts on this at the moment. You're a racer. You live to race. You want to race. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we'll race today. I think just wait a bit longer. No rush. Just let it... I'm surprised we're not out there now, actually, because I think there's another one coming in. So if that comes, obviously that'll delay it obviously a bit more. The track's holding a lot of water, so that makes it very, very difficult. But we've got plenty of time, so we should get into it.
Mark, I'm just, you know, you saw the situation with Lewis. Have you got any view on that, or you talk about it later?
Oh, I think definitely it was a racing incident, but when you know you've got so far to go in such a tricky Grand Prix, and I opened the wheel for him, gave him the line, and then, yeah, he still made contact. So I think... Did
you give him too much room?
Hey?
Did you give him too much room?
I don't think you can never give someone too much room, but I think he was committed to the move. I was still surprised he hit me. Obviously, he was maybe being locked up or he was struggling for more space at that point, but I think... I mean, it's just so far to go in a Grand Prix, and so that was the bit that surprised me.
And the start, should it have been on a safety car? We all felt, if you like, somewhat robbed the fact that we didn't get the excitement of the rush into the first corner. Surely you, as a racer of that vintage, you'd like to see a straight start.
Yeah, it was on the edge. I mean, on the edge in terms of being close for a standard start. I think this part of the track, it was ready for it. It's just that, yeah, I don't know if the back part doesn't make any difference. Obviously, once you go single file, it might help a little bit if you haven't had a normal start. So I think you definitely would have had a safety car at some stage if you did probably normal start.
We had plenty of tweets from people who were saying that they were watching the bikes at Silverstone today in the driving rain, racing around with only 2 wheels, and we were starting under a safety car here with 4 wheels on each vehicle. Is there a case that perhaps Formula One has become a little bit health and safety conscious?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that got to keep in mind this is the first time we've used these tyres in a race, so trying to factor that in a little bit as well. The visibility is a lot better on motorbikes. Obviously, the guys are, you know, we know they're massively gifted. They know what they're doing, but that's one of our biggest challenges, the visibility. And also keep in mind that we can't put a wet setup on the car, you know, so the cars are still low to the ground, ready for the dry, because it might have been a dry Grand Prix today. Okay, the chances were high for a wet race. So I think it's always... We don't want to see any more shunts than we need to. Of course, there's going to be incidents, but trying to get the balance right is never easy. But I think the safety car start was probably the right thing to do.
OK, just give us an idea then of how much visibility or lack of visibility there was. We've all driven to the shops in the rain, but we've got windscreen wipers. We're nice and high on the road. Just tell us how much you can actually see in the cockpit, even behind the safety car.
Oh, it's very, very difficult to see. Obviously, you have the visor just gets absolutely pulverised with water, obviously. So it's very... You start to question yourself. You think, I think is it really this bad? I hope the other guys can't see this much either. So
you're hoping it's not the eyesight, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I had a good chat to Seb, and he said, yeah, he was. So you know it's the same for everyone, but you just think
that's a relief. If the world champion feels the same, you know you're all right, don't you?
Mark, I've got to ask Mark. crossing all the fingers, etc. Where do you hope to leave Montreal? How many points in the bag?
Oh, podium. We need to get through these guys that have jumped us through, being able to not stop and put a fresh set of tyres on now with the suspended race. And you never know after that if it's there's still many things that can happen. You know, Seb could drop it, I could drop it, Fernando can drop it. You know, there's still a lot of racing to go yet in this race.
So podium for you?
Well, minimum, I'd hope.
We've talked a lot about this and your teammate at the moment. He had the luck with the safety cars in Monaco. Even here in the driving round with all kinds of things happening, Sebastian is the driver out in front. He does seem to have the luck as much as he's got the speed at the moment, doesn't he? Things are falling into place for him.
Yeah, but you make your own luck, don't you? So yeah, he's had a phenomenal run, and at the moment, let's see how long it goes on for.
Okay, well, good luck. And Casey Stoner won at Silverstone today, so yeah, good news for the Aussies.
I think it was a pretty boring bike race, wasn't it? But really happy that Casey won. I think, yeah, and Le Mans sounded interesting as well, so big motorsport weekend. Cheers, guys.
Okay, well played, Mark. Thank you very much. Always honest, always truthful, actually, and it was interesting when we talked about the luck as much as the speed for Sebastian. A rueful smile from him there.
Well, he's probably pinching himself at night. He said, what must I do? I've got the same car, I've got the same engine, I've got the same support. What must I do? Because every turn I make, he comes out looking like roses, and I'm back there in the gutter, or so to speak. Not necessarily, of course, in the gutter, but he doesn't have the same rub of the green. And that is a fact. And sometimes that gets into you, but I thought he was very calm and very cool. He's very pragmatic. He understands clearly it will turn in his favour. Remember what happened this time last year. He turned around and he won a couple of races on the hoof. Of course, Monaco this time last year, no one really gave him a chance, and suddenly he's right back in the championship again. This is going to be a much tougher call, though, for everybody, with the exception of Vettel, because he's pulling away. OK, well, let's get Christian Horner to come in and have a quick chat with us, then the team principal from Red Bull. We've just spoken to Mark Webber. He wants to get this race going. What about the man at the very front? He's got a healthy lead. He probably doesn't want to risk going out here in the wet rain, does he?
Well, Seb's a racer as well. I mean, I think he's keen to get out there again. I think the conditions are now improving. The track's looking better, so you know, there's no reason to not get racing again.
You do realise how serious this situation is. We are keeping Antiques Roadshow off the air with no racing happening at the moment. We need to get these cars out there. It's not raining very heavily, I have to say. It's got a little bit darker just a few moments ago. How much can you, as the teams, do to lobby Charlie Whiting, the race director, to just get this race going, at least get the cars running around, find a dry line out there somewhere?
Well, it's very little, really. I mean, Charlie's his own man, and he's, you know, out there having a look at the track. He's got all his advisors as well. He's spoken to the drivers. Seb's had a chat with him. And, you know, he listens to the guys in the cars. He hears all of their radios. And I'm sure, you know, he's able then to make his own judgments from that and made the right call, you know, in the circumstances to suspend the race.
Christian, I'm intrigued. Are you telling me you want this race restarted?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, if it were to be stopped now, there'd only be half points.
But may I remind you, which worked in your head already from the moment it was stopped, you have Kobayashi in second place. You have all the big protagonists for your championship all well out of the way. This is a miracle result for you. Why on earth would you want this restarted?
Because we're racers.
I accept that, but you also want to be champions, and no one remembers what happens today in Canada because you'll have won the race. You may only get half points, but you'll still have won the race. It'll be a race victory, and it's closer to your championship.
Yeah, sometimes, Eddie, though, it's not about, you know, just about winning. It's about how you win as well. And, you know, I think that it's right for the fans. It's right for the crowd that's come out here today to get the race going again. We're in a good position. You know, it gives Mark the opportunity to come back through as well. And, you know, who knows? Hopefully we'll manage to hang on to the lead to the end of the race. But I think it's the right thing for Formula One, you know, to start the race.
Okay, we know you've got plenty of wet and intermediate tyres. There's no issue there. What will the plan be once they say, right, 10 minutes to go, this race is going to get going? What will you do, A, to keep Sebastian at the front, and B, to give Mark a chance to fight up from where he is?
That's a multi-million-dollar question. I mean, I think that it's a matter of being flexible and reactive. We managed to get the calls right in the first part of the race. The pit lane's very, very short here. The penalty is only 15 seconds for a stop. So it's a matter of speaking with the drivers, and reacting to the weather. So there's a degree of lottery to it as well. But you know, so far in the race, we managed to make the right calls.
Now, usually in Formula One, we're the ones badgering these kind of people for information. So I'm now going to tell Christian something that may mean he scampers off very quickly. We've been told 14 minutes until the race restarts. Obviously, you haven't got your headphones hanging around your neck, so you haven't heard that. So just give us an idea quickly before you do disappear. What now happens with your team from now until 14 minutes time when the race gets going? What will you be going through?
Well, there'll be finally, going through final preparations, just making sure that the engine, all the temperatures are warm enough, and I'll be going for a quick toilet break.
Let's call it a pit stop, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, all right, Christian. Well, good luck. We'll wait and see what happens, and we are both still very amazed that you do want this race to continue with your man sitting first, but that's what will happen, so we'll wait and see.
We'll see. I mean, hopefully
and
be a good
importantly,
race.
let's not forget, 2 very workable cars, and he doesn't want those guns back in a scrap heap. So I admire your honesty. I'm not sure all the rest of the team bosses would say the same thing, but anyway, well done to you, because it's what we want to hear. We want to hear good sporting stories. Well done, Christian.
About 12.5 minutes and counting. Thanks a lot, Christian. Very interesting, actually. The one man sitting behind Sebastian Vettel at the moment will be sitting there thinking, I've only been in Formula One for a season and a half. I love overtaking. One overtake could give me a race win. We're talking about Kamui Kobayashi, the Japanese driver that everybody loves to watch. This is a huge opportunity for him. And if I was Christian, I'd be slightly nervous that he's the man behind Sebastian.
Well, not alone that. Remember, there's been a series of Japanese drivers come to Grand Prix racing. One thing beyond any doubt, they have been all truly amazing in wet conditions. He's now going to have brand new tyres on the car, same as everybody else, even though he'd had previously only made one stop, or in fact that's it, he hadn't made a stop, if I can recall properly. No, Kobayashi didn't make a stop, and as a result he's now got new tyres on the car. He's going to have a go. He's got nothing to lose.
Okay, just to give you a full update on the way things are standing at the moment. Sebastian Vettel is sitting in first place. Kamui Kobayashi is second with Felipe Massa third. Nick Heidfeld is fourth. Petrov is fifth with Paul de Resta sitting sixth at the moment, the Scottish rookie. Mark Webber seventh on the grid once the restart happens. Fernando Alonso is eighth. Pedro de la Rosa, who's been drafted into the Sauber at very short notice, is ninth, with Jenson Button 10th, having already stopped twice and having had a drive-through penalty. Nico Rosberg and Michael Schumacher, the 2 Mercedes teammates, are sitting 11th and 12th. Adrian Sutil in the Force India is sitting 13th, with Jaime Alguersuari, who's having a difficult season so far, 14th. Timo Glock in 15th place. Rubens Barrichello is 16th, with Vitantonio Liuzzi sitting 17th, he of the beautiful footwear. And then we've got Sebastian Buemi, Narayan Karthikeyan, Maldonado, Heikki Kovalainen and Jarno Trulli up to 22nd, with Jerome D'Ambrosio 23rd, and Lewis Hamilton, the only car not involved in this restart because he had a coming together with his teammates. So, Eddie, it seems that finally we're going to get some racing here in Canada.
We are. It certainly looks that way, although the clouds would tell you something different because they've just covered back in again. One of the things, Jake, in all of the aspects that we've seen and how you very eloquently relayed exactly the position on the grids there, I think what surprised to me is the Mercedes team. They've made the same decision with both cars, and some parts of Ross Brawn, in years gone by, he might have split them. Why that happened this time, that the cars were the same and both in the position, I don't know.